The internet went into full chaos mode when shocking rumors involving Mendeecees Harris and Yandy Smith began circulating across social media, sending fans into a frenzy. Whispers of a so-called DNA test and claims of hidden truths spread rapidly, even though no official confirmation was ever presented. But as always, confirmation wasn't necessary for outrage to ignite. Once the words DNA, secrets, and betrayal entered the conversation, the narrative exploded beyond control, pulling their entire relationship back into the spotlight. Fans immediately began dissecting every past interview, every reality TV moment, and every emotional exchange they could remember. Longtime viewers felt blindsided, especially those who believed Yandy and Mendeecees had already survived their hardest chapters. The idea that something this serious could surface now made people question everything they thought they knew. Social media timelines filled with speculation, with some users claiming Mendeecees had finally reached a breaking point, while others insisted the rumors were nothing more than recycled drama meant to damage reputations. What intensified the situation was the sudden shift in tone online. Supporters noticed what they described as emotional distance and tension, interpreting silence as meaning rather than restraint. Every lack of response became suspicious. Every vague post was treated like a clue. The internet turned into a courtroom overnight, with fans appointing themselves detectives, judges, and juries, all without verified facts. In that environment, rumors didn't just spread, they evolved. For Yandy, the speculation hit especially hard. Fans flooded her pages demanding answers she never offered, while critics questioned her transparency. Supporters rushed to her defense, arguing that women are often targeted first when rumors involve betrayal, regardless of evidence. The debate quickly became emotional rather than factual, fueled by loyalty and long-standing opinions rather than proof. Once sides were chosen, nuance disappeared. Mendeecees' name trended not because of what he said, but because of what people believed he was thinking. Some claimed he was ready to expose everything. Others argued that silence meant he was protecting his family from another media storm. The truth was lost somewhere between assumption and imagination, but the damage was already underway. Screenshots, captions, and reaction videos turned speculation into something that felt real to those watching. Now the biggest question isn't whether the DNA rumors are true, it's why the internet was so quick to accept them without confirmation. Because once trust is questioned publicly, even false narratives can leave permanent marks. And as fans continue to debate what's real and what isn't, one thing is certain: this rumor has reopened wounds people thought were already healed. To understand why these rumors detonated so quickly, fans say you have to rewind the clock and look at the long, public journey of Yandy Smith and Mendeecees Harris. Their relationship has never been simple, and viewers have watched it unfold through highs, lows, loyalty tests, and moments that required real forgiveness. Over the years, supporters believed they had already endured the hardest trials together, which is exactly why the sudden appearance of DNA rumors felt so destabilizing. It challenged the idea that the past was settled and reopened questions people thought were already answered. From the beginning, their relationship has been scrutinized more than most. Fans remember moments of public tension, emotional conversations, and periods where trust was openly questioned on screen. Those memories didn't disappear, they stayed archived in the audience's mind. So when DNA speculation surfaced, it didn't feel random. It felt like it was tapping into unresolved doubts viewers had been carrying quietly. Even without proof, the rumor felt possible to some because it aligned with narratives they had already internalized. What made the DNA angle especially explosive is how final it sounds. DNA implies truth, science, and certainty, even when none has been verified. Once that word enters a rumor, people treat it differently. It stops feeling like gossip and starts feeling like evidence, even when no documents, statements, or confirmations exist. Fans began talking as if something had already been proven, not because it had, but because the concept itself carries weight. That psychological shift is what turned speculation into conviction for many. As the rumors spread, the internet fractured into camps. One side argued that Yandy deserved the benefit of the doubt, pointing out how often women are accused first and asked to prove innocence later. They emphasized her years of commitment, her public loyalty, and the sacrifices she has made. To them, the DNA rumors felt like another attempt to undermine a woman who has already endured intense public judgment. They questioned why people were so eager to believe betrayal without evidence. On the other side, critics argued that long histories don't erase the possibility of hidden truths. They framed the rumor as something that might explain past tensions or unresolved moments fans had noticed over time. These viewers weren't claiming proof, they were claiming plausibility. And in online culture, plausibility is often treated as permission to speculate freely. That mindset kept the debate alive and emotionally charged. Mendeecees' silence became a focal point in this phase. Fans analyzed it from every angle. Some believed he was choosing to protect his family from another media storm, understanding how damaging unproven claims can be. Others interpreted the quiet as a sign of internal conflict or restraint under pressure. The same action, saying nothing, was read in completely opposite ways depending on who was watching. That split revealed how little facts matter once belief takes hold. What escalated everything further was how content creators and blogs framed the situation. Headlines leaned into certainty, even when the story was built on rumor. Phrases like alleged, claimed, and unconfirmed were often buried beneath dramatic wording. That presentation blurred the line between possibility and reality for casual viewers. Repetition did the rest. The more people saw the rumor, the more familiar it felt, and familiarity slowly replaced skepticism. Another reason this hits so hard is because DNA rumors attack identity itself. They don't just question relationships. They question family, truth, and trust at the most fundamental level. Fans weren't just reacting to drama, they were reacting to the idea that something deeply personal could be upended publicly. That emotional weight kept people engaged long after the initial shock wore off. As days passed, the conversation became less about discovering truth and more about defending belief. Supporters and critics talked past each other, each side convinced the other was ignoring obvious signs. But those signs were interpretations, not facts. The internet had effectively created multiple versions of the same story, and each version felt real to the people who believed it. By the end of this phase, the damage of speculation was already visible. Trust had been questioned, reputations debated, and emotions stirred, all without confirmation. The rumor didn't need proof anymore, it had momentum. And momentum is often enough to keep a story alive. Now the situation stands at another crossroads. The narrative has hardened, sides are set, and expectations are building. Fans aren't just watching anymore, they're waiting. Waiting for statements, reactions, or any signal that could validate the version of the story they've already accepted. Because once DNA rumors enter the public space, silence doesn't calm them, it challenges them. As the days passed without clarification, the silence surrounding the rumors became the loudest voice in the room. Fans watched closely for any sign from Mendeecees Harris or Yandy Smith, and when none came, imagination rushed in to fill the gaps. In online culture, silence rarely earns patience, it invites interpretation. Every hour without a statement felt like an unanswered question, and unanswered questions tend to grow sharper the longer they linger. What began as speculation slowly hardened into belief, not because new information appeared, but because repetition made the rumor feel familiar, and familiarity often gets mistaken for fact. The mechanics of this transformation were subtle but powerful. A headline framed uncertainty as possibility, a clip referenced DNA without proof, a reaction video added emotional emphasis. Each step nudged the story forward, not with evidence but with confidence. Viewers scrolling quickly absorbed the tone more than the details. Words like alleged faded into the background, while bold claims stayed front and center. Over time, people stopped asking if something happened and started debating why it happened, a clear sign that the rumor had crossed a psychological threshold. Social media amplified this shift. Algorithms favor engagement, and nothing engages like certainty. Posts that expressed doubt traveled less than posts that declared conclusions. As a result, the loudest voices shaped the narrative, even when they were speculating. Comment sections rewarded decisiveness, not caution. Users who urged patience were drowned out by those who claimed to see the signs. The rumor didn't need confirmation anymore, it needed momentum, and it had plenty. Another factor that accelerated belief was how the story fit into existing perceptions. Longtime viewers remembered past conflicts and unresolved questions, and those memories became scaffolding for the rumor. People retrofitted old moments to support the new narrative, reinterpreting scenes and statements through a different lens. This retroactive storytelling made the rumor feel coherent, even if it wasn't accurate. Once a story feels coherent, it becomes persuasive. Meanwhile, the absence of direct denial took on symbolic meaning. Some fans argued that silence must indicate legal advice or emotional restraint, while others saw it as tacit acknowledgement. The same silence supported opposing conclusions, which shows how little facts matter once belief takes over. The debate shifted from evidence to intuition. People trusted their gut, forgetting that intuition online is often shaped by what appears most often, not what is most reliable. Content creators played a complicated role in this phase. Many framed their coverage as analysis, not assertion, but the line blurred quickly. Hypotheticals were discussed with serious tone. Thumbnails suggested certainty even when scripts used careful language. That mismatch between presentation and substance misled casual viewers who often don't watch full videos before forming opinions. The result was a feedback loop. Speculation generated views, views encouraged more speculation, and the rumor grew stronger with each cycle. Emotion also kept the story alive. DNA rumors strike at identity, family, and trust topics that trigger strong reactions. People projected their own experiences onto the situation, interpreting silence and tension through personal history. That projection made the rumor feel personal, which increased investment. When stories feel personal, people defend them as if they're defending themselves. That's when belief becomes stubborn. As time went on, fatigue set in but not resolution. The conversation narrowed into hardened positions. New posts didn't change minds, they reinforced them. Even calls for moderation were framed as choosing sides. This polarization is a hallmark of rumor culture. Once belief solidifies, neutrality disappears. The story stopped evolving and started echoing. What made this phase particularly risky is that it normalized treating speculation as acceptable truth. Viewers grew comfortable repeating claims without qualifiers, assuming that widespread discussion equaled validation. That normalization doesn't just affect this story, it lowers the bar for future ones. Each time a rumor survives without confirmation, the threshold for belief drops. By the end of this chapter, the damage of speculation was clear. Reputations were questioned, trust was strained, and private lives were pulled further into public debate, all without verified facts. The rumor had achieved what it needed to survive, a shared belief system. Whether statements would come later almost felt second. Industry professionals understand this well. Reality TV thrives on drama, but there's a line between storyline tension and reputational risk. DNA rumors cross that line because they suggest proof without providing it. Networks, brands, and partners don't need confirmation to feel uneasy, they need predictability. When a narrative feels volatile, hesitation follows. It may not look like cancellation, but it looks like pause, and pause can be costly. Another quiet consequence is how trust erodes with the audience. Even loyal supporters can feel unsettled when rumors linger unanswered. Some begin to question, not because they want to believe the worst, but because uncertainty is uncomfortable. That discomfort doesn't always turn into opposition, but it can turn into distance. Distance is subtle, but it matters. Engagement cools, excitement fades, and rebuilding that emotional connection takes time, even when nothing was ever proven. For those watching closely, it became clear that the goal was no longer to correct the story, it was to outlast it. Internet cycles move fast, but only when they're fed. By refusing to add fuel, the hope is that attention drifts elsewhere. This strategy doesn't satisfy curiosity, but it often limits long-term harm. Letting a rumor die of neglect is rarely satisfying, but it's frequently effective. Fans also began to shift during this phase. The loudest voices started to tire. Arguments repeated themselves. Certainty began to feel forced. Some viewers questioned why they were still invested in something with no new information. That fatigue didn't equal resolution, but it slowed momentum. When audiences stop refreshing for updates, stories lose oxygen. What makes DNA rumors especially damaging is that they attack credibility at the deepest level. Even after they fade, they leave residue. People remember the question, not the answer, especially when no answer ever came. That's why these rumors are considered among the hardest to fully erase. They don't end with a headline. They linger as doubt. By the end of this phase, the situation had changed in a fundamental way. The internet moved on, but the impact remained. Relationships were tested, trust was challenged, and privacy was breached in a way that couldn't be undone. Even if the rumor eventually disappeared from timelines, it had already done its work. What this moment ultimately revealed is that some stories aren't meant to be resolved publicly. The internet demands clarity, but real life doesn't always provide it on command. And when speculation becomes louder than truth, the smartest decision is often to stop performing altogether. Now, as attention shifts elsewhere, the final chapter approaches, not with confirmation or denial, but with reflection. Because the most important question isn't whether the rumor was true. It's what happens when unverified claims are treated like they are. As the noise finally fades, what remains isn't confirmation or denial. It's a lesson about how fragile truth becomes when speculation outruns responsibility. The DNA rumor involving Yandy Smith and Mendeecees Harris didn't gain power because of evidence. It gained power because of repetition. In the digital age, familiarity often masquerades as proof, and once that happens, belief forms long before facts ever arrive. This story showed how quickly a question can turn into an assumption, and how hard it is to reverse that process once it's underway. For Yandy, the experience underscored a reality many public figures face. Silence is often chosen not because there's something to hide, but because there's something to protect. Choosing not to engage publicly can feel unsatisfying to an audience hungry for answers, yet it can be the most responsible way to prevent further harm. That restraint doesn't stop rumors immediately, but it limits how much fuel they have to burn. Over time, absence of reaction can speak louder than denial ever could. For Mendeecees, the moment highlighted how reputations can be reshaped by implication alone. When a narrative suggests certainty without providing it, the burden shifts unfairly onto the subject to disprove something that was never proven. That imbalance is one of the internet's quiet dangers. It rewards assertion over accuracy and forces people to defend against shadows. Navigating that requires patience, discipline, and an acceptance that not every audience can or will be convinced. Beyond the individuals involved, this episode exposed a broader cultural habit. Audiences often treat private relationships like open files, believing access equals entitlement. But speculation about identity, family, and trust carries real consequences. Even when rumors fade, the residue can linger in perception, resurfacing at unexpected moments. That permanence should give everyone pause before sharing, reposting, or framing unverified claims as near fact. The most important takeaway isn't about who was right or wrong. It's about how quickly lines blur when entertainment values override care. DNA rumors sound definitive, but without proof they are still rumors, and repeating them doesn't make them truer. This story reminded viewers that slowing down, asking better questions, and respecting boundaries isn't weakness, it's responsibility. What do you think? Should public figures address rumors to stop them, or does responding only give speculation more power? Where should the line be between curiosity and respect? Share your thoughts in the comments. Like the video if this breakdown helped you see beyond the headlines. Subscribe for long-form storytelling that prioritizes context, nuance, and accountability. Because in a world that moves fast, choosing care over certainty might be the most important decision of all.